Oak Street in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and we're on this segment that's called Fairmont Square. It was made by Leslie White, started in 1884 on into the 1890s. He was a carpenter, contractor, and the architect, and he designed every house on this street, which means he designed 12 homes, and he wanted to look beautiful. So this is one of his examples. It's Albert Magna's house. He was a car dealer. His wife was the daughter of Walter Scott, who had given 100 years ago the Crafts Hill as a gift to Holyoke on the 50th birthday. So this 100 years later. And so this is their house. You can see it's a very beautiful house. And you notice that it's all brick on the first floor. And above it's a shingle style architecture. So this is number 248. We'll walk along. Okay, so you notice on this next house, it's also on the first floor, a brick facade, and you're going to find the whole street is this way. So when you go to any of these 12 houses, they all look the same, all Victorian homes, first floor, brick facade, and this one happens to be at the home of Etta Richards, and she started a school in this street, but not in this house. She started into another house, so we'll see that along the way. She had a husband that got rich, and she decided to start up a private school, so it was the first non-religious private school in Holyoke, and this was about 1890 she started up. Now, notice when we go up to the next house, okay, again, the first floor is all brick, and again, Victorian home. And so, if this holds true, we should see that every house has bricks. Well, the next house is the one that that has drastic change, because you look alongside this greenhouse, on its left-hand wall, there's all brick. And so keep that in mind, because as we go up to the corner, you're going to see that it becomes not brick. So you can see now that the wall is not brick, but you can also see where the wooden wall seems to change. It must have had something on it, because the upper part is different from the lower part. And so on this one, it's the only house in the street of 12 where they removed the brick facade and changed it over. Right? So drastic changes happen in this one. Okay, so we're at now the top of Hampshire Street and Oak Street. This is the end of Fairmont Square. Now, in the middle of this intersection, there was placed a large vase. A vase that was about 3 feet high and a couple feet wide. And then it had a circle in the middle. The circle is about 5 feet around. And this was one of two intersections that formed this Fairmont Square, and both of them had vases that you had to get around. And there are old pictures showing these, and so not there anymore for safety reasons, but it used to be. That's why it's called a square. All the houses are the same, both ends of it are the same, and square usually means a big area. And this is the one and only intersection in old-time Holyoke where the curbs don't form a right angle, but rather, we're going to look at the curbing below our feet, and below our feet, the curbing comes in at a graceful circular style, and thus he was able to accomplish it looking like a square because it was given this big area. Right? So he accomplished it, which you find nowhere else in Holyoke. Everything else, when it meets at a right angle, will have a curb in at a right angle. Okay, now we're going to go across the street. Okay, we're going to show you the curbing. You notice it all sweeps in. And nowhere else in Holyoke will you find this when the streets meet at right angles. And it happens twice on this double intersection that forms Fairmont Square. Alright, so the next place we go to is the location of that private school I told you about. So Etta Richards started up a private non-religious school here called the Loverin School, and this is the start of it. It happened to have been probably in another, most assuredly in one other place on North Pleasant Street as the years went by, and then maybe another place on Walnut Street. We don't know positively, but this is the first of the Loverin schools. It says number 253. Now, I told you every house on this block of Oak Street was made by the same person, with the first floor being brick, and it actually is brick, but it's been painted white, so it's harder to see. But if you look carefully, it's all brick around. It has a nice Victorian wraparound porch around it, and again, every house up here is a style of Victorian. Most of them now have aluminum siding on it, so they've taken away the identification marks of which Victorian style it would be. So I can't tell you on this one, but it definitely is Victorian. Now we go down to the next one. Okay, and this next house also, like I told you, wraparound porch and a beautiful Victorian. It probably was a stick style at one point, but all that has been taken off. You can see the top dormer is now aluminum siding. So we'll go down a couple more. Okay, we'll stop at this beautiful brown house. Okay, it's very elegant, a beautiful wraparound porch, and a lot of details on that porch, and overhanging porches above. Both of those porches you see on the second floor at one time were open porches. Even the one in the back looks like it's no support in the bottom. But it is, and it used to have no windows on it, it was open. And you can see a beautiful detailing on the very top floor. This was probably a shingle style. It's hard to tell because they're not painted it quick, but it looks like very detailed shingles on the top. Alright, so we're going to stop it here because we've done now a total of half block of this section of Oak Street, and we'll include now the northern block plus a special house. Thank you for coming to this part of the tour.